Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin. Today, Aaron isn't actually able to join us because he just had a death in the family. So everybody, pray for him and send him your love. I miss that little man. He was going to be here today to cover Misery, um, and we have an awesome guest on today, Mike from Man Bites Dog. And you picked this movie because you were saying it was what your favorite novel and favorite Stephen King adaptation?
Yeah, that's right. I've always loved this book. And obviously the movie was like a lifelong. It's one of those things that everyone talks about in middle school. You know how scary it is and all that stuff. So yeah, this has always been just one of those stories that really resonated with me.
Yeah, I feel that too. But before we jump into everything else, if you want to let all the listeners or watchers
Yeah.
know where they can find you and what you do on your podcast, and then we can jump right into this beast.
Yeah, sounds good. My name is Mike Hill. I am at Anxious Mike on Twitter and Instagram, and I am one of the hosts of Man Bites Dog, which is a weekly sort of game show type podcast where we talk about movies and weird news and just kind of whatever interests us at the time. You can find that at Man Bites Dog Pod on Twitter and Instagram and wherever you get podcasts. And yeah, so we're around.
Yeah, and their show is super funny. Like everybody you
I
have on
appreciate
there.
that.
Like if you want a really good laugh, definitely tune into your show. Um, I'm fairly new to listening to it since you joined the podcast group that we have, and I'm
Yeah,
glad that
yeah.
you guys are a part of it because you're completely different than everything else in there,
Yeah, we're super excited about it. Yeah, everybody's been super nice and yeah, we're thrilled. So it's
and
nice to be here.
super happy to have you on and
Thanks, man.
chat about this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ridiculous movie.
Yeah. That's a good
S-
word.
so it's actually been a long time since I've seen this.
Yeah.
I saw it when I was really young. I
Hmm.
say that all the time. Like now that like I started doing this podcast, especially with Aaron, because he knows like horror movies, but he's not well versed in it. So that was like the whole
Sure.
aspect of our show is me kind of teaching him in a way and having him
Yeah, learning the ropes. Yeah.
yeah, and to see all these movies that like I grew up with or like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the
yeah.
guests that we have on. And
That's
just to
cool.
see like how he feels about it and like the takes and whatnot. Usually our views kind of line up the same, but not
Yeah.
always. But yeah, ever since we started doing this podcast and I like reminisce of like the first time I watched these movies, I realized it's all in between the ages of like 8 and like 14.
Yeah. Those
um,
are some prime years.
yeah, yeah. And my first horror movie that I can like remember watching is Halloween 1978.
That's a good one.
And I'm just in love with it. In case if you can't see in the back, I have a bunch
Oh
of
yeah.
Michael masks and
Yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah. Oh
And
man.
my 4-year-old son now is like he's in love with Michael. Like he has so many toys. He steals my masks all the
Oh, that's
time.
awesome. Oh man, you're
So
doing it right. You're doing it
yeah,
right.
he hasn't seen the movie yet because every time I put it on, it's like, oh, it's too scary. But he goes on YouTube and
Yeah.
like watches like everybody play with the figures and like review
Yeah,
all the
right, right,
masks. So
right. Yeah, that
doing
is
something.
that's one of those things kind of like Misery where like I've seen it so many times that I kind of get desensitized to it, I guess. But like
Yeah, and
that like you're
this,
talking about like that 8-year-old reaction to seeing Misery or seeing a movie like Halloween is it's intense, you know.
yeah, it really is, especially towards the end of the film when it really ramps
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and this movie like starts right away too. I remember reading the
Yeah.
book, but it's been such a long time, and I don't remember it starting off as quick as it did in the film.
Yeah, no, the book is like, and I won't geek out too much about. I'm like, I could go on for a while about the book, but it's kind of a slow burn. And there's a lot of like metaphors and stuff in there that obviously don't work on film or whatever. But
Yeah,
yeah, it takes a while. Like the whole typewriter situation doesn't happen for a really long time, and like they just kind of start right off in the movie. Like it's they have to get to that point, and then things can start happening. But yeah, they definitely had to do some crafty some some editing to the plot line, to make it make sense on film.
yeah, for sure. And the screenwriter William Goldman, I think he did a pretty good job for
Yeah. Oh
taking
yeah.
because Stephen King with his books he loves to add in a lot of like descriptions,
Yeah.
way more than dialogue. But when the dialogue is there, it hits really hard. But
Right.
he loves to describe like there'll be like a barrel, and he'll like for like 5 pages just talk about a barrel.
And all the things it represents and like what it reminds people of. And yeah,
Yeah,
I know. I know.
exactly. And like I remember reading The Stand, and that's a big book.
Yeah,
I read
absolutely.
that one fairly young, but
Mhm.
then I upgraded and I read through it, and
Oh yeah,
I've read it about 8 times, and that's
yeah,
a
that's
big
awesome.
book.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's those two actually are two of my. I mean, it's sort of that thing where like whichever Stephen King book I've read recently is my absolute favorite, you know.
Yeah,
But yeah, it and The Stand are the ones that have kind of come back to me multiple times throughout my life. But they kind of all do, I guess. And Misery's the same way. So
yeah. And
I don't know. Maybe I'm
Stephen,
just a fan generally.
that's fine. I love Stephen King, and I
Yeah,
love like his Dark Tower series too, and where like that just ties like all of his books in together.
yeah, yeah. They're all in the
So
multiverse. Yeah,
it's crazy of how like in depth he goes in novels,
yeah,
and people don't realize that pretty much
yeah, yeah, yeah.
every single book connects in some sort of way
Yeah,
because of the Dark Tower.
I was telling my wife that like reading Misery again. I just read it again recently, and he talks about the Overlook, and he talks about like you always know if you didn't know it was a Stephen King book. At least once he'll mention the Overlook Hotel in
Yeah.
basically every book he writes. Yeah, it's just funny how it all works out. But yeah, I totally agree. There's a lot like his books tend to be like remembered for their like I guess their images like the you got the Kathy Bates sledgehammer thing, you got like the Shining, Jack Nicholson door thing. Like they're
Yeah.
always known for these like single shots, but there's so much depth behind those that even if they get sort of turned into memes or whatever, you can really dive into it further and pretty deeply, like you're saying.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure. So
yeah,
I really suggest that even if you've seen all the Stephen King movies, go read the books because
yeah,
there's always something new, and it's going to make you change
absolutely,
the way you watch the movie.
for
I,
sure. Yeah.
the newest I think adaptation that I love the most out of anything that I've seen recently from Stephen
Hmm.
King would be Doctor Sleep,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's also because I read the book about 4 times.
Yeah, right. And they did a
So,
good job of tying it to the Kubrick film,
oh yeah,
which I know is like a hot topic amongst King fans. But yeah, like because The Shining's another one of those images from when you see it as a kid, and seeing those again in Doctor Sleeper, it was really cool.
yeah, it is, and
Yeah, I like that movie.
I always say Mike Flanagan's like a master. Like he's like the modern horror master. Like
Yeah,
everything he does
yeah,
is just phenomenal. All of his shows on Netflix, the movies that he does, he's a genius. He
yeah, no
really
doubt.
is. Um, but doing Misery today, we
Yeah,
could
right.
talk about Stephen King all day because I love
Yeah,
Stephen King. I
for
grew
sure.
up like reading his books in school because
Yeah,
our school had a lot of his books. Bag of Bones was one of them, and I was reading. I was like, "This is not a book I should be reading in
right.
school
Yeah,
right
that's a
now."
weird choice for a school.
Yeah, I was reading. And I was like,
Interesting.
"There's like him talking about like touching himself and stuff." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Should I
that's a
be
weird
reading
choice.
this in the middle of class?" So,
Oh man.
and that's another
Okay, I read
adaptation that's
The
pretty good.
Shining in sixth grade band class, which was a weird combination of things.
Wow, yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
really
so I know the
weird.
feeling. Yeah, between songs, I guess. But yeah,
I don't
I'm
know.
with you.
Schools just love to put in like the weirdest things.
Yeah, they just
Um,
yeah,
this movie has a pretty small cast because it really only focuses
yeah,
around, if you think of it, like 3 people. It's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you got Paul Sheldon, Andy Wilkes, and pretty much Buster are like the
yeah.
main ones. And we have James Caan playing Paul. We have Kathy
Hmm.
Bates playing Annie. Richard Farnsworth, who played Buster, which I love Buster. He is so funny.
I think that is the best thing they could have done with the police. The police are kind of like not named in the book or whatever, but he is like I want him to be part of the real like the book version
Yeah,
because he is so great.
he's so funny.
Yeah,
Just
and his
everything
wife
he
and their
does.
relationship is so great. Like it's so funny.
Yeah, and we got Virginia played by oh god, Frances Sternhagen. I'm awful with names.
That sounds right.
And we have a bunch of other ones, but we don't have to go through all. Those are like the main ones.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
I
then his
guess like
agent is
four.
played by somebody famous, but I can't remember who it was. Anyway, she's some big name because she was first in the credits.
Yeah.
But whatever. Yeah.
Let's see. Sometimes IMDb has some facts.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
the trivia. I did a deep dive just in case.
if you have anything that you want to pop up off the top of your head while I'm skimming through, just go right ahead.
The one thing I thought was awesome was that uh, the whole style of the film is kind of based on Hitchcock, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah.
And once I read that, it was so obvious. Like just seeing how it was, like Rob Reiner, I guess, had never done like a thriller before, and so he looked at, like, he watched all the Hitchcock movies, and you can tell when you watch the movie that he watched some Hitchcock recently.
Oh yeah.
But I found that pretty cool.
Yeah, all like the zoom in on the faces is definitely
Yeah, the
that's like a
super
Hitchcock like
close ups and
trope.
stuff. Yeah, the driving shots. I mean, there's like, he's got all the tropes, which is cool. I mean, I think that's awesome. It's kind of a like a love letter to the Hitchcock movies.
Yeah. Um, One thing I didn't know is I guess Jack Nicholson was offered to play Paul,
Oh
but
wow.
that would have been weird because he was in The Shining.
Yeah, it's yeah, that I oh man,
Why would they think that would be a good idea?
that would be very confusing.
Because this was when the hell? This was 1990, and
So
I
what, like
forget when The Shining came up. I know it was in the it was 1980, so it was a 10-year
10
span.
years later, yeah.
What that's not a good call at all.
A bunch of people go in thinking it's a sequel or something.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, is this Doctor
Oh
Sleep
man.
before Doctor Sleep was a thing?
Exactly, yeah. Oh
Um,
man.
yeah, nothing really else that's like super important in trivia. Just a lot of like, oh, Stephen King did this, Stephen King did that. Okay.
Yeah, he kind of takes over the trivia for sure. I think
Uh,
it's Kathy Bates' first movie, isn't it? Like her first actual, because I think she did plays and stuff, but I don't think she had been in
I
a movie.
think that's. Let me go on her IMDb. See what her first credit is.
Because that's amazing.
Yep, it is. Misery is her first credit.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean,
You can tell that she was definitely, if she was like, doing like plays and stuff, you can tell because her
yeah,
acting is so over the top. But
yeah, which fits so well
yeah,
into like the character. Yeah.
and she can just like flip a switch, be completely normal, and just have like
Oh
this
man.
awful outbursts.
Yeah. There's that difference between her like peppy happy Annie and then like the depressed Annie is like terrifying.
It is, and I remember it pretty vividly from being a kid, and it's been like, oh, this lady doesn't seem that bad, but as soon as she like breaks her
Yeah,
her
yeah.
good character, it's over. Like you
Oh,
want to
for
run,
sure.
and you feel for Paul because he was even like, I can't do anything. I'm stuck,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
worst feeling is being stuck, not being able to do
Absolutely.
anything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a really well crafted story. Um, the scenes where, and I guess we're probably gonna go through it more, but the scenes where Paul is like hurrying to get back to his room, like I remember seeing that in like high school and stuff, and just being fucking terrified. Like that is
Yeah,
so scary to me that any second she could come in and he's like wheeling backward as fast as he can, kind of stuff. Man,
yeah, that
that stuff is
tension.
scary.
Like I was just rewatching it before this. I watched it earlier in the week, but I needed a more fresher take.
Yeah.
And just sitting there, I already know what happens,
Mm-hmm.
but just feeling him go through and like, dude, you need to get back. You gotta get
Yeah.
back to that
Yeah.
room.
Right.
You need to get back to that room. And he's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I'll take my time. And then he hears the
You're
car and
right.
he's just like, eh. um,
Yeah. Oh
so
God.
some of the budget. Oh wow, this is estimated to have a $20 million budget. That's huge.
Yeah, I was like, where did it all go? Because it's like two sets. But I
Yeah,
guess, I mean, James Caan probably cost some money.
yeah, because he was like really big.
Yeah.
And then he was just getting even bigger, and then he was like doing Elf, and then he kind of like dropped off after that. I feel.
Right. Yeah. After his highlight, Elf. I mean, I say that in kidding, but it's probably true. But yeah, his like, he's an interesting choice for Paul to me. He almost has a little bit of like, he seems like he thinks he's too good for this movie, a little bit.
Yeah,
But he does a really good job, so I can't be that mad at it.
yeah, he definitely does a good job. I like the way that he just like amplifies how terrified he is, but just his eyes is
Yeah.
crazy.
Some of his reactions, like when he pulls himself out of bed the first time and like hits the ground really hard, and like
Oh,
he's
you
really
can
good
feel
at
that.
it. Yeah,
No.
yeah, it's awful. Yeah,
But this movie definitely made its money back because worldwide it made about $61.
man. Yeah,
In an
yeah.
opening day, it didn't make its money back on opening day, but in the U.S. and Canada, it made about 10 million. But now it definitely made its money back.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure taking 20 million for that was like a risk at the time, but I mean, I guess there had been some success, like with The Shining and stuff with Stephen King books. But
Yeah, and no, they had the mindset I would imagine back then. It's like, well, whenever someone makes a Stephen King adaptation, it blows up. and it usually does. I mean, there are some ones that
Yeah,
are like,
at least at first, usually. Yeah.
yeah. So now on to Rotten Tomatoes. Do you want to take a
Okay.
guess as to what
Oh
the
God.
critics reported that?
I would think that it would be relatively high. I mean, Kathy Bates won an Oscar for it.
Yep,
So I'm gonna guess like 75.
90%.
Oh my
That's
God, that's
certified
really
fresh.
high. Wow.
And what
I
about
always like buffer a
audience?
little bit
Yeah,
for the Stephen King thing because there's usually audience. Good Lord. 95. I'm gonna go up.
89.
Dang.
So they're pretty close in score.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's respectable in both counts for sure.
It's really weird too because there's only 73 critic reviews and like 100,000 like audience
73 seems
reviews.
very low.
See if there's
Interesting.
any bad reviews. 'Cause
I'd be
sometimes when
interested
we
to hear
go
what they
through this,
were. Yeah.
actually,
The
it's
only
all
things I can think were like the pacing is a little weird. Um,
yeah. At times I can definitely feel that, but
there's a point where you're like, Paul was just like, okay, I'm writing a book.
yeah,
Like,
it's like
sure, yeah,
all right,
whatever, I'm doing it now.
all right,
And
dude.
that was the only part that I was like, you're okay with this. All right.
So I don't really see any bad reviews, but I'll read a couple of
Yeah.
good ones.
Okay.
This is from Derek Malcolm, and it's the film hasn't any. Oh God, this is written really bad. This film hasn't any depth to speak of, but is consistently shrewd enough not to go totally obvious ways. And the audacity in casting Catherine Bates as the Dottie fan pays considerably dividend. This was just written not that great. um,
I do agree with that though.
yeah.
And I do think that like it is sort of a what's the word? Like a lean movie. Like it's real like there's not any like extra stuff in this movie at all. Like it just
No.
kind of everything's important,
Yeah, like they
which
weren't
is
going
cool.
over the top with like, any of like the body like modification if you want to call it that.
Right, right, yeah.
Like when they could have went like really crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cuz he loses a bit more of his body in the book.
Yeah,
Uh
yes he does, and he doesn't come out as good as he is at the end of
no,
the
yeah,
movie,
he
if I
definitely
remember
isn't
correctly.
walking. Well, I think he does end up walking, but not the same way. But yeah, I
No,
know
no, no, no.
I it's definitely like a lean like precise. I think it's like an hour and a half. Like it is like just a like a textbook
Yeah,
90-minute film.
yeah. Another one. This is from Desmond Ryan. Bates turns Wilkes into the nastiest nurse to reach the screen since Fletcher or Lewis Fletcher tormented Jack Nicholson and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
Oh,
Nest.
Cuckoo's
Oh
Nest. Yeah.
wow, that's a film I haven't heard in a.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good movie.
It is, and then that's one I got to revisit because I haven't watched that in so
Yeah.
long. But I think that's pretty much it that I have for any of the back end stuff before we jump into the actual movie.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to add before we tear this film into pieces?
No, I think you covered it. I really am interested in the fact they spent $20 million on this in 1990. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, they
Uh,
definitely had some budget there, and it was probably on Stephen King. It's like,
yeah,
I'll tell you where to get the money, or I'll even give you the money. So
yeah,
here you go.
right, yeah. But no, I think that's awesome. I'm ready to dive in.
Yeah, me too. All right, we're going into Misery. Mike, if you want to start this off, since you are the guest today, and I know you're very anxious of talking about this, you can pick up from anywhere you want. We can go from the beginning or any important spots, wherever you want to go.
Let's see. So the beginning, you see Paul Sheldon doing his thing. In the I can't remember the name of the hotel. It's like a fancy
It's a
resort
lodge.
hotel.
It's like
Yeah, some kind of like
I was just watching it.
vacation lodge in the mountains.
Yeah.
And it's very important. He always has a cigarette after he finishes a book, and I think champagne.
Yeah.
And then he has his manuscript, which is untitled in the movie. Which was a weird choice, but anyway. Uh, and so you see him like at his best, like he's at the top of his game, sort of thing. And the important part being that it's not a novel about Misery, his famous character.
Yeah.
And then he immediately crashes his car.
Man, this
Very
guy,
quickly.
he's like speeding down this hill. It's got
Yeah.
snow. It starts snowing, but he goes faster.
Yeah, and it's like not a little bit of snow. Like the road is gone.
Yeah.
Like there's no road.
It's a straight
at all.
blizzard.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, and it's that's a really actually well shot crash. Um, a lot of times they'll kind of cut away from crashes like that because they're expensive, but I guess that's where some of the money went to for the Mustang they rolled over.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, it looks painful for sure.
I would not want to like get into any car crash, but
Right.
definitely going like flying off the side of a mountain and spinning and
Yeah.
being like flipped over
But yeah.
and pretty much knocked unconscious. No, thank you.
Yeah, it's not good. Um, and that all happens pretty quick. I mean, that's like the first 10 minutes of the movie or
Not
something,
even.
if
That's like the
that.
first
Yeah.
like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like
And then
super fast.
yeah, and then he's in Annie Wilkes's house for the rest of it.
Yeah, there was like one thing I was kind of confused by because like as
Yeah.
he like crashes and like we cut back to his manager and she's like on the
Yeah.
phone. I was like, is he dreaming this or is it something that
Oh yeah.
was happening? Because that's a weird cutaway. I feel maybe they
It
could
does
have
have a
waited.
weird sort of like, it has that 90s like that sort of weird aura where like the stuff behind the windows doesn't look real and like everything's a little bit too saturated. Like it looked very
Yeah,
dreamlike.
yeah.
Yeah, like every movie did in the 90s. But yeah, I can see that. I can see how you'd be like, is he hallucinating this or is this yeah.
Because then like
Um
right after that, it cuts right back to him being pried out of the car.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so it's like I don't know if he was dreaming that. He's like, oh, I'm dead, or whatnot. You
Yeah,
know.
right.
Oh, another really cool thing I have today is I got some soundboard stuff.
Oh,
So
nice.
I was able to find a few quotes and stuff from Annie. Even though I
Excellent.
have them written down here, but when we get to them, I'll probably play them. Uh, yeah, it's really fast. Probably within like the first 15 minutes, we get him already in Annie's house,
Mm-hmm.
like obliterated, literally. Like he can't do anything. He has one
Yeah,
arm that works,
yeah, and
barely.
super
Um,
shout out to the makeup effects too, because his legs look awful.
oh my god, yeah, when she like shows him the
Yeah,
legs. I'm your
yeah.
number one fan.
Oh yeah, so freaking scary. She is so. I mean, we could spend the whole time talking about how awesome Kathy Bates is, but she is amazing in this movie.
Yeah.
On both sides, like being the sort of likable Annie, and the not so. Um, yeah, she's great.
Yeah, and obviously she's been in like a lot more movies since then, but I
Yeah,
really
right.
think that this is her best movie,
Yeah,
if I had to say.
I would say
Um,
so, and it's certainly what she's known for, which is, I mean, a blessing and a curse, I guess, right? Because you spend your whole career being remembered for the first thing you ever did.
yeah,
But
exactly.
I mean, it's one of those that, I mean, people who don't like horror at all are very familiar with it. You know what I mean? It's one of those like household sort of
Yeah,
um images, I guess. But yeah.
yeah. And like I said, this was something I watched when I was like really young, and I remember being
Hmm.
on TV a lot, um, along with like a lot of other Stephen King
Yeah,
adaptations.
like
But
heavily censored versions.
this one definitely was making around all the channels a
Mm,
lot. And it's for good reasons. It's a great movie. I mean, I
yeah.
guess there could be an argument this is more of a thriller than it is like
Yeah,
a horror movie, but there are very horrific things that do happen within. Um,
for
but
sure.
I guess you can definitely, if you had to, you could label it as a thriller and get away with it. And that's probably another reason why it was on TV so much.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. And it's kind of like a thriller in like the Hitchcock way, where it's still
Yeah,
scary.
exactly.
Like there's still things that are like intense and frightening. But it is more about the what ifs instead of the actual happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like him
Uh,
trying to get back to his bedroom and stuff. Like that's very much a thriller sort of vibe, I guess.
yeah, it
So.
is. But the tension and you like being like, oh, what's gonna happen?
Hmm. Oh yeah, exactly.
But right off the bat, she like tells him, "Yeah, I'm a nurse, and I know how to take care of people. Here's your pills. Take your pills."
Yeah,
Kind of tells him like, "Yeah, there was a blizzard. He can't go into town or anything. I can't go into town. I can't
yeah.
use
All
the
the phones are
phone."
out. Everything else. Yeah,
Complete bullshit. I mean, this
yeah,
guy. I'm sorry, but he's laying in bed and he's got like 3 or 4 windows. He can look outside and see how
yeah.
bad it is.
Right.
You know? Uh,
Yep.
Granted, he can't like really look out there, but he's close enough to know like what's going on.
Yeah.
And then she kind of explains to him, it's like, yeah, like your legs are pretty much broken, but like I did as much as I could and the best I could, here at the house. So she
Yeah.
rolls down and you see his legs all bandaged up,
God,
and
it's awful. Yeah.
I, mm, This
Yeah, that
it
image sticks
hurts.
with you. Yeah, yeah.
And then we get we cut back to the agent, but this is like, I guess the other one I thought was a dream, but I think this is like actually real world stuff because she gets a hold of the police and talks
Yeah, she
to,
starts being worried about him.
yeah, to Buster. And I think
Yeah.
I don't know, this right off the bat, he is so likable and
Yeah.
so funny. Just the
Oh yeah.
way he moves and talks is great.
There's a great joke in there where he's like, "Yeah, I'll run his name through our system," and he
Yeah.
writes it on a sticky note and like puts it on his bulletin board.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like, yeah, I
It's
got
great.
that. And then his wife
Oh, man.
Virginia comes in. That's also
Yeah,
really
God,
funny.
they're so funny. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, he calls around and sees if he's like still at the lodge or whatever. And like, nope,
Yeah.
he's gone. And then we cut back to Annie's, and we get a very close up of her like shaving him, and like that's already like wicked tense. And
Yo, for sure. Yeah. It's got that sound, that skin sound, like the real like sharp sound, I guess is what it is. But
yeah,
that
and she's like,
super
hold
close ups and
still,
stuff. Yeah.
hold still. I don't want to, I don't want to cut you or anything.
Right.
Um. Oh yeah, and she like admits that she's like stalking him, and he's like, "Oh wait, can you say that again? What was the last part you said?"
I always thought that was so weird because like that's definitely not in the book, and like which it actually makes more sense than the book. But she was like she knew he was at the resort, and so she followed him out of it, and I don't know what her plan was exactly. I guess to wait until he crashed. But yeah, I always thought that was an interesting thing to add in there.
Yeah, like, yeah, I was following you, and I was watching you in the window, and while you were writing, I was like, say that again. And she just
Yeah.
moves on.
Yeah, like no big deal. Yeah.
And then she asks to read the book that's
Yeah, his
not
manuscript, yeah.
completely completed yet, but like, yeah, I'm gonna go read it. Then comes back and is like super pissed, like,
That's the first like scary scene, yeah.
yeah, and it's all dark, but she's lit so well, and they zoom in on
Oh
her
yeah.
face too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and
Uh,
that's with like that's the first time you see her temper start to slip a little bit.
yeah,
Um,
she breaks like a stool, like
yeah.
on the wall too, which is like really crazy. Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, and like the soup, she's like flailing his soup everywhere. I think that might be a different scene.
Nope.
Anyway, that thing starts to
That one's coming up. So they're very, very
yeah.
close together. 'Cause
Gotcha. Yeah,
it's just Buster pretty much just going and like looking at the lodge and
yeah.
whatnot and
Yeah, yeah.
talking.
That's right.
But yeah, that's another really tense one. And you need to rewrite some of the stuff because I don't like the swearing in the book.
That's right. It's the swearing. She's like saying, I don't go and say like, yeah." She's like, her version of swearing is hilarious. But yeah, she's like holding his soup, and it's like hot soup flailing everywhere.
Yep. And I got a think down by right here. That's pretty funny. That happens later on, but it's funny.
You're just another lying old dirty birdie.
Not sure if you can hear it,
I
Mike.
better be around you for a while.
And I have the other one, which is
God.
like talking about going to when she went to go see movies and stuff, and she got mad about the car.
Oh yeah.
She didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle
Oh
car.
god, I love that scene when she's explaining the chapter plays.
Yeah,
That's so good. Yeah,
it's just
a duty car.
the way that she just like amplifies like her saying these like not bad words but making them sound bad is so
Like they do sound,
good.
they sound vulgar. Yeah.
And then she like yells at Paul too. It's like, there, look there, see what you made me do. And then she's
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh,
it's always
I'm
his
sorry.
fault. Yeah, yeah, it's always his fault for making her lose her temper.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
like, I didn't do anything. I'm just
I'm just
writing
laying here.
my book.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
Then the next scene is when Buster and Virginia are taking a ride around. They see a broken tree, and they're like, oh, well, that could have been from the storm, whatever. It's like, yeah. And then he starts like walking down, and then he stumbles and like falls through like literally like 3 feet away from the car.
Yeah.
And then Virginia like yells down. She's like, hey, do you need help? Are you having fun down there? She's like, no, I'm enjoying myself, thank you.
He's so funny. My god.
Oh yeah,
think
that's the other
that's
when Annie drives by too.
Oh yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's the great shot where you see them, and then like it comes around, and you like it goes right into like a windshield shot of her car. Like such a great shot.
Like she's right there, and they kind of do that. I think a couple of times throughout here where she's
Yeah.
driving by like Buster or somebody else that Paul has like been around, and it's really really good. Um, then she comes back with Misery's Child, and I thought this was weird because she already has all the books. So
Yeah.
so why does she need to go and buy
Yeah,
a new
it's
copy?
that's sort of what I mean by like the things are kind of rushed because in I guess the story in quotes, she is waiting for the paperbacks to come out before she reads them,
Yeah,
and so I guess Misery's Child's the like ninth book or whatever. It's whatever's after what she already has or something. But yeah, they don't explain why she didn't already have it. But I guess just because she doesn't want you don't want her to know that Misery's gonna die or whatever. Um, but spoilers.
yeah. I thought it was because she wanted him to sign it, but no, she just says, "I have Misery's Child, and you're gonna like continue this
Yeah,
story and like bring her back."
yeah, because I think the idea is that she hasn't read it yet, and she doesn't read it until he's already there, and then that's that really great scene at night where she gets like she can't be dead, you killed
Yeah.
her sort of thing. Um,
Then we get, I guess, the infamous pig scene.
oh yeah,
That always like threw me off as a kid too. It's like, where the fuck did this pig come from?
yeah,
Oh, it's
yeah.
my pig Misery.
Yeah, there's not a lot. I mean, it's a great performance by Kathy Bates. Don't get me wrong, and the pig did great, but it is a little weird. And I don't think there's ever. Does the pig come back at all?
There's a couple of scenes of um uh her like petting it. That's like
Yeah,
it.
I think
Nothing
that's it.
like
Yeah,
substantial. Just like, I guess Shaw's just to tell you that it's there.
I
Um,
guess. Yeah,
uh,
yeah. That is a surprise for sure.
because that didn't. I don't think that happened in the book. Was she? Pig? Did she?
Yeah, she did.
She
She'd had the
did.
pig, and yeah,
For
and
some reason, I don't remember that.
it was mostly like used like a metaphor where like the pig is named Misery, and then like that's kind of how Paul like sees Misery the character, and like it's just like a big it's just that book is all metaphors because
Yeah,
it's all one room, so it's all just like him having a metaphor about addiction, and then him having a metaphor about the pig, and there's
yeah.
like 800 of them. But yeah,
Great book though.
oh, I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's really good. But yeah, the pig is, to be honest, I've seen the book, I've read the movie. Nope, not that way. I've read the book.
That's
Wait,
great.
nope.
Yes, me too.
I saw the movie, and then I also read the book, and I still don't know why the pig's there. To be
Yeah, I'm
totally
gonna
honest
need to reread the book. I know I have it somewhere in my house. I have a bunch of Stephen King books. I think the one I'm trying to read through right now is Needful Things because I've always wanted
I
to read that one.
love Needful Things. That one's a slow burn too.
Yeah, it's starting very
Uh,
very slow, but I like it
yeah,
though. I
it's
love
worth
it,
it. It just takes a while.
and I might
Um,
read through it again because I'm fucking nuts.
right? Yeah. Speaking of that, I
uh
just got the Georgie tattoo not too long ago. The boat.
oh, I actually
I'm such
have.
a fan.
I don't know if there's gonna be a card.
Oh, it's a boat.
Yeah, I have it where
Boat
it
mouth.
says "We all float down here." So I got
Oh yeah.
that done. That was my first
Nice.
tattoo,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
it took about 2 or 3 days, but it was worth it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's yeah. Well, look at that.
Some of the balloons faded, so I got to get them recolored.
Oh
But
yeah. That's awesome
it.
though.
Um,
Cool. Great podcasting when you talk about your tattoos.
oh
Nobody
yeah,
can see it.
exactly. I mean, I was also somebody who never really wanted tattoos until like
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago, and then started the podcast, and then like I wanted even more tattoos, so now I
Yeah.
have tattoos on this side and
Oh yeah.
some
It's
over here.
addicting.
It's very
Yeah.
addicting, and my fiance has a bunch of tattoos. That also doesn't help.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
Mutual addiction. Yeah.
yeah. So if anybody out there has really cool tattoos, show us because I want to
Yeah.
see
I want
them.
to see.
I want to see your
Absolutely.
tattoos. I think the next big thing too that kind of happens is where Annie's like talking about her divorce and her
Mhm.
weird life and how misery helped her through things.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I've read them all. I'm your number one fan. I can say all of them like line by line without having to like, read anything." Kind of fucking nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think the next thing is when she gets even more pissed, and she's like, "You dirty bird! How could you?"
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, that's with the she can't be dead
Yeah, it's
scene.
like you need to bring her back. No way. He's like, "Well, I didn't murder
Yeah,
her.
like
She
you
died
killed
in
her. Yeah.
birth." And he was
Yeah,
even
it happened a
saying,
lot.
like, back then, that's what happened.
Yep.
People died in birth. And it's like, no, 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 no. So, anything to keep misery alive. It's
Yeah.
so funny saying that too. I mean, this obviously the title's like a play on words too, because of
Sure,
misery,
yeah.
and they're
Yep.
going through misery and keeping misery alive. And she's
Yeah,
like,
and he's trying to get away from misery, but she's
yes.
bringing misery back. Yeah.
So it just everything kind of just comes full circle, and that's what I kind of
Yeah.
really like about this.
Oh yeah,
Is
it's awesome for
so
sure.
many ways for you to interpret it and
Yeah.
whatnot, but everything always goes back to actual misery. Like you feel
Yeah,
miserable.
exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the pig means something. I swear to God, the pig means something. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor. I know it's a metaphor,
Yeah.
but I don't know what it is.
I'll have to look it up after, because
Yeah.
definitely it has to be.
Yeah,
What,
it
what
means
would,
something.
trying to think, like, what would a pig metaphor for?
I mean, like Annie loves it, so like maybe it's like the.
Because it's dirty, maybe,
Oh, there you go.
and
Yeah.
she's kind of clean. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's like I don't know, man.
Maybe the pig is Paul,
It's like
or Paul was there.
yeah, it's like her obsession for sure. Like it's like a sign of her obsession. I don't know, man. It just got to mean something. But
Let
like
us know.
Kathy Bates's pig performance is great. So
Yeah, everything.
points for that.
Oh, and this is the famous, "I'm gonna get out of bed when I know I can't get out of bed,
Oh
and
God,
fall on
yeah.
my legs."
That's one of those like you're yelling at the TV, like what the hell are you doing?
Exactly. It's like
what's your plan, bro?
he has one hand down, he gets this other one down. He's like, "Oh, this is good," and then he realizes, "Oh crap, my legs," and just
Yeah.
falls. And
There's like a moment. Yeah. Oh God. And there's a moment where you're like, okay, he's gonna realize this is stupid.
Nope.
And he doesn't.
No.
Oh man.
And it all kind of leads to nothing, because then he finds out that the door is locked.
Door's locked.
So he just has to go back.
And he sleeps beside the bed.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh.
Just I wouldn't want to be in that situation at all.
Sure.
Especially considering you don't really have any medical attention. You sort of do.
Right, the unhinged kind.
Yeah, it's like, here's just a bunch of pills, and I'll give you food, and that's how you heal, essentially.
Yeah.
And don't
They
move
don't deal
at
with
all.
his like addiction very much in the movie.
No, they don't.
Which is like a big. I'm gonna keep talking about it. I can't help it. It's just gonna happen.
That's
Sorry.
fine.
That's just what I know better. But the pills in the book are a really big thing about his like dependence on him. Dependency, whatever the word is. Fill in whatever the right word is in there. But like his like constant reminder that he needs those pills, and that's like another reason he's stuck there. Like even physically, if he got out, he'd be addicted to the pills, and he needs them or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is a really big part of the book. But like it's like one of those things that like it doesn't make the movie better. It wouldn't help really.
No, it wouldn't.
So I get it. And she also like doesn't feed him a lot in the book, which is like has a really horrible effect on him that they don't discuss too much in the. He just finds a bunch of food eventually. But yeah, I mean those are things that they don't make the movie worse by not having him for sure. But interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of just used the pills, I think, in the movie more as like him using it as a weapon, and it
Yeah.
fails miserably.
Yeah. Yeah, they just kind of had to. Yeah, because he just immediately starts pocketing them, basically.
Yeah, like he takes them for like the first, I want to say, because we don't really get like a time frame of how long he's at the
Yeah.
house either, which I think they probably could have done something. I've been like, this is like day 30 or
Yeah, right.
something, especially during like the
It
whole
seems
montage.
to take place over like a couple weeks, or like 4 or 5 weeks, maybe. But and
It feels
I know
way longer in the movie.
it's supposed to be like months. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's what it's actually supposed to be. But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think something like that would have helped a little bit, but because he does seem to heal up pretty quickly from such a devastating injury. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The book burning when she brings in
the grill.
the grill. Like I at first I forgot what the scene was. I was like, what the are you gonna do to him? And then just brings in a grill and was like, what? And
Yeah.
then you see the manuscript and his satchel, which I was surprised she didn't have him burn that, but I know that she knew that was like really important.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
it's gonna
you
be
can't burn that because that's like
he'll
actually
carry the next
part.
misery book in that, Yeah.
Yeah. And she yeah, she pretty much has him pretty much have to light the match,
Yep.
and then at first he's like, I don't want to, and then it's saying like, oh well, people back home, they yeah, so she pretty much has to convince him to burn it. He's trying to
Yep.
do the whole like mind trick thing of well, my editor and my manager, they have copies of this and whatnot. And she's like, no, 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 no. I know that you don't keep copies of
Yeah.
your books. She was saying like,
Bad luck. Yeah.
yeah, the first one was like you didn't think anybody was gonna buy it, so you just had one copy of it. So she got him there, and he's like, damn it.
I forgot you were my biggest fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like too much.
Yeah, right.
Like I'm a big fan of a lot of like artists and like directors and stuff, but I don't like know every detail about them.
Right.
So
Yeah, it gets a little obsessive for sure.
it's very crazy.
Yeah. It's also like an interesting scene because I always think of this movie, it's almost like a Twilight Zone episode in structure.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because there's like a little bit of build up. You get the point of it. And
Yep.
this is sort of like the burning of the manuscript is sort of the vibe of it. And then it all pays off like very quickly.
Yep.
And I always sort of saw it like more like a night gallery or something like that. But like that sort of like setup like climax kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is like the first part of that where like he has to burn this thing he loves and she's crazy and it's like the match is there. There's like all these things are set up that are going to be important later, which I thought was really cool. The way it's done.
Yeah, that was very interesting too, because he has to use the match obviously to light his cigarette, and I was thinking about that too. It's like, well, this is they kind of use everything that he uses at the end because like they have the dinner,
Mm-hmm.
they have the drink, so it's like it's definitely like lining up what you're saying.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like it kind of just goes through everything. We have
For
the
sure.
satchel and the match in the same scene, and later on with the dinner.
Absolutely.
Oh, another thing is like when Buster's like going through the air with the helicopter, and she like looks out the window,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Oh crap!" But
Yeah.
then like, "Oh, never mind. Okay, it's fine."
Yeah, we're good.
And then the next scene that's pretty important is when he officially starts hiding the pills away.
Yeah.
This is probably like I want to say like 45-minute mark in the film, so it is still pretty early.
Yeah.
It's like this movie is like an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, he starts eating dinner, grabs his fork, and like he pokes a hole in the mattress. But you think with her being so smart and knowing of everything
Right.
that she would have looked in the mattress.
Yeah, right.
But she
One
didn't.
part that always confused me is that isn't he in like extreme pain because he's not taking his pain medicine?
I was thinking that too, but I was just like, maybe he's over it. Maybe.
I guess.
But with his legs the way they are, I
It
don't
must
know.
have been
Maybe
bad. Yeah.
he must have just been like enduring it just so he could
Yeah.
stash
It's better
the
than
pills.
being all, high for the whole thing when not being able to think straight.
Yeah, and being asleep all the time definitely
Yeah.
won't be good. And then the next scene is the typewriter in the room where Annie's like, "Here's your
Mhm.
station. Here's your wheelchair. You can move around, but you can't go anywhere but your room." And we didn't touch on it, but I think it happened earlier. It's like when he has to pee in the cup, and she's talking to him, and she's like
Oh, just
swishing
sloshing it
the
around.
pee around. Like, oh my god.
Oh man.
At least they showed that he can actually go to the bathroom, because I'm like, if he's
Mhm.
stuck in the room, how is he going? Is he just
Right,
in the bed all the time?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's bad.
What if it like opened and it went
I know.
all over him? Would she have cleaned him? Probably, because then she get to see him
Probably.
naked.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
I'm sure she has, right?
she had to have. If she changes his clothes,
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
that's another thing. Where did she get all these clothes? did she like
He
anticipate
does change a
this?
lot, right? Like, I guess her husband's clothes or something, but like he changes like daily. Like,
Yeah, like way too much. So like I was thinking maybe when she's going up to town, she's always buying clothes. But
maybe.
then when Buster was like talking to the guy, like, "Oh, is she buying anything weird?" They never
Yeah.
mention like men's clothes
Yeah, several outfits
or
for a man.
anything, you know,
Yeah.
unless she just like washes the same like 3 or 4 like
Yeah, I guess he
shirts.
could have had a bag with him. Maybe? I don't know.
Maybe, but I don't know because the car was tipped over. So how would she have been able to get
Yeah, I don't know if
the
she would have
suitcase
grabbed it.
out?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Plot hole.
Yeah, I
We
guess.
did it. I hate this movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's trash now. They didn't explain where the clothes came from.
So stupid.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that is interesting though. Yeah, but she definitely, yeah, she must have perved out on him at some point.
Yeah, because
Ugh.
we don't get any bath scenes with him or like any
Right,
like
yeah.
at least getting like wiped down.
Yeah, she's a nurse, so she's doing all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and even when she
Ugh.
sees him sweaty when he's like going through the thing, he's like all back. She's
Oh
like, "Oh
yeah.
my god, you're dripping," and he's like, "Yeah."
Yeah, it
So
hurts so bad.
nothing. So yeah, Annie pulls in the typewriter and it's like, "Now you're gonna start
Yeah.
writing a book." He's like, it doesn't just happen like
Right.
that, but then it just happens like that.
Yeah, there's no in the book, I'm that guy. He like slowly figures it out or whatever, but yeah, he was just like, "All right, I guess I'm writing a book with this lady's house."
When he
He's just sort of cool
easily
with it.
could have just read about what was happening, but he knew that if he did that, he should have been like, "Nope,
Yeah, right.
restart,
Yeah, he
restart."
just writes misery. Yeah.
Um, it's also funny too when he like goes to like tell her that he needs different paper because it smudges.
Oh yeah.
I think I don't think she's smart because wouldn't any fresh ink smudge on paper?
I think that there is something about the I can't remember what he called it.
Yeah,
I
some
think it
weird paper.
I think it is. I mean, I'm not an expert. Don't get me wrong, but I think there is something about carasable bond. I think there is something about it being waxy, and so it does smear. And like when you have all the pages together in a manuscript, they all kind of move around. And I'm doing hand gestures for somebody's benefit, your benefit, I guess. Um, but the paper can sort of you'll lose words eventually.
Hmm,
Um,
that's
but
interesting.
also, I read that on the internet, so who
Yeah.
knows?
I
Could be
was thinking it
bullshit.
was like more of a ploy to get her to leave the house again,
Yeah,
which
so it backfired pretty bad.
yeah, and I really feel bad for him too because she's when she gets like really upset, she's like, "I'll get you your paper," and slams it onto
Oh,
his
throws it on
crotch.
his. Oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn! So like her
Ow. Yeah.
outbursts are
Real
ridiculous.
scary. That's when they do those like super close ups on her face, and it
Yeah,
is
it's
so scary.
very uncomfortable. Like she's
Yeah.
looking directly at you. You know, she's not like really
Yeah.
looking into the screen, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
her eyes go so wide and
So
she's like
intense.
yelling.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
They only really do those close ups on her when she's mad and him when he's in pain.
Yeah,
And the sort of back and forth between it's horrifying.
yeah. So that's
Yeah.
very good use of the Hitchcockian stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Very,
Yeah.
very good. And I honestly really love like the color palette of this film because it's
Yeah.
not too bright, it's not too dark. It is gray. I mean, this is the 90s.
Yeah, for sure. And in
Um,
Colorado.
yeah,
So, yeah.
but they do such a great job of like making things have color when it needs it. Like when he's going through the house, because his room is so like dull, dark, and as soon as he gets out, it's like it's a whole new world. Everything has
Yeah.
life to it, and it's not
Yeah.
miserable.
Sure.
know?
Yeah. Yeah, her house is really interesting to me because like in a lot of ways it's like super normal.
Yeah,
Which is kind of scary in its own way. Because she seems to live just a perfectly normal life until she becomes obsessed with him, you know?
yeah. But now this is the next scene that I really like is when he gets the hairpin, which is another
Oh,
reason
yeah.
why I thought he was trying to get her to leave the house by saying it's a different, he needs a different type of paper, which it could probably be both, to be honest. It probably
Right, yeah.
could be like,
Sure.
I need something new,
he
and
could have
also
made
I
it
need you
work.
to get out of here.
Yeah, right.
So he ends up, using the pin. He's like, oh, I wrote about this, so it should work, which is really funny. And he's like, oh, it does work. Like,
yeah,
oh my
he's
God,
like, you wrote
dude.
about it, now do it.
Yeah.
I love that.
So he eventually breaks out and he's looking around a little bit. He knocks over, I think, one of the ducks or something.
It's the penguin.
The
Yeah.
penguin, that's what it is.
He catches it. Yeah.
I guess he faces it the wrong way, but that doesn't like get brought up until way later.
Right. Yeah, and you can see that he like I remember maybe not the first time I saw it, but the first time I saw it as like a person who could think. That was rude. I was like 8 when I saw it. I could think, but I wasn't looking for symbolism or anything.
Your frontal lobe wasn't actually
right. I was still
there.
developing. When I saw it as a grown up, I saw that it was backward, and I was like, oh, that's coming back. Like that's gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
Because they made a point to like it's like a super close up on that penguin.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's the first real tense scene of him like exploring.
Yeah, this scene, I think I like more than any of the other house exploring scenes.
Yeah,
because like obviously it's his first time out, and he's seeing everything for the first time, and we are, and we're trying to get a layout of this house. You see the front door. They show the front door so many times.
Yeah,
like he's always looking at it, and it's got the staircase, and then he sees the phone. He's like, oh yes. But next to the phone, it's like the memory book, which he doesn't really look at like too much.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. And then I think he also sees like the signed picture that he did.
Oh yeah.
To her, so obviously they have met at some point.
Yeah.
But at those you meet so many people.
Yeah, he wouldn't remember. Yeah.
No way he would remember.
His headshot is hilarious as well. He's so like moody.
And it's just a shrine, but it's like a great shrine. It's all neat. I mean, her whole house is pretty neat.
She has an eye for design,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
The way the books are laid out, it looks great. It really does.
He makes his way to the phone, and he picks it up, and the whole bottom is gone.
Yeah, she's just a freaking she's just crazy.
Yeah, he's like, oh my god, she's crazy.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like every time I see that, I'm like, man, she is nuts. Like she's actually nuts. Yeah. She has a fake phone for nobody's benefit.
No, other than to her to know if he leaves or something.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, but it's so weird.
Where's the real phone? Is it upstairs? It would have to be, right?
I guess if she has one in the book, she doesn't pay her phone bill, so she doesn't have one. Or she has one and he tries it and it's not working. Yeah. But I love that he picks it up and it's just like the top part of a phone and nothing in it. I like that is so funny.
He picks up no dial tone, but like the wires are going to like where you would think it would be.
Yeah. But it's just...
Oh my gosh, she's crazy.
Yeah. Oh god, that's so funny to me.
And then he starts.
She is just nuts.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. He's exploring some more, and that's when he finds like the picture, and then he finds the drug stash. And then he steals some. I don't think we really get a close-up as to what kind of drugs they are, but there'd have to be some sort of sedative or something.
It's supposed to be like a codeine-based painkiller. It's called Novril, but I don't think that exists.
No, probably not. This is not Oxycontin.
Right, but it's similar, very much like it's that kind of drug where like you're hooked on it immediately.
Yeah.
Kind of but yeah, I think those are like in the. I know he has to like in the kitchen. He has to like drop out of his wheelchair and like crawl through the kitchen, doesn't he? Yeah,
he does because he can't make it through the door.
Yeah. And I always thought that was terrifying.
Yeah, it looked like the pills were in like a washroom / bathroom / storage room. I was so confused as to what kind of room that was.
Just a room with stuff in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he makes his way to like the doorway, and he's like trying to get through, and then he like has to put 2 legs onto like one side and hope that will work. It doesn't work. So he just decides to literally just like jump out of the.
Yeah, just leaps out of it. Yeah.
It's like, okay, so he can move ?
Yeah, it's not like, oh, I shouldn't go in here. It's, oh, I'll have to crawl.
Yeah.
But I guess he's checking the exits or something. He has a reason.
Yeah, because there's a door in there and he wants to, I guess, try to escape, and it's locked.
Yeah.
But at this point, like, okay, he's been out here for too long, and he'll be back any second. And then he takes a breather, and he's like leaning up against like the fridge. But as soon as he does that, we hear the car. And
so freaking scary, man. Like that gets me.
Yeah, and then he has to leap back into his wheelchair as quick as possible. Make sure all the doors are closed, but you almost forgets. and then he has to
Yeah.
relock the door with the same pin.
Oh my god, yeah.
How would you do that?
Yeah, that's a fucking great shot too of the like keyhole and like the thing going into it. Like
Yeah.
the keyhole shot is so cool.
And it keeps like popping out too, and he like drops it. Like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
So that's
And it
also
like
really,
hurts
really
him to lean down.
tense.
Yeah.
And then this is when she comes back in, he's in the wheelchair and he's all drenched.
Oh,
And
is
she's like, "Oh my god, you're dripping." He's like, "I want my pills. I need them now."
Yeah,
And
it's like- she's like, "Let me
just
put you
like-
back in bed." He's like, "No, I want him now, Annie. Please, I want him now."
yeah, it hurts so much.
Yeah,
She's like,
he's got the pills like shoved down the front of his pants.
yeah, and he's trying to like hide it. And so he's like, "Okay, I'll go grab him."
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Funny. It's
Yeah,
really
it is.
tense, but it's so funny.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice humor too, because the parts where she's like off the rails are so scary, that it's nice to have that little bit of like, not slapstick, but like that kind of thing where it's
Exactly.
like this is all a little bit ridiculous.
You got to have some tension relief somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we get a second time of Buster going through the air in the helicopter and finally sees the car because I guess enough snow has melted. That's like my way of explaining
Yeah,
him seeing the car. So the news shows up and they kind of explain that, oh, Paul's dead.
yeah. They go very quickly to, oh, he's dead now.
Yeah, there's no like, let's search the car.
Yeah,
No, but they leave it up to, I guess they want Booster to be the actual hero because he's like, there's no way. He looks at the car and he sees like the marks of
The
it being
marks
like,
of the
ripped
pry.
open.
Yeah,
Like, this is weird. There's no way he's dead. But he might be dead, but not the way they think that he's dead.
right.
So it's
Yeah.
like he's like true detective in a small little town.
Yeah,
Like the only
Man,
police officer.
we need a Buster show, man. That's what we need. That's what we deserve, is a Buster HBO show.
Exactly. And we get another really good scene of Paul like, making this plan of like, I'm gonna open up all the pills and put them in this
Yeah.
little like pouch that I made with the paper that she gave me. And he opens it, but he like tastes the powder at first. He's like, like he hasn't
Yeah.
had it before.
Right, that is weird. I guess I took that as like he's gonna see if she can taste it when she drinks.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. But
But it is a little weird the way he does it.
yeah,
It's like he's sampling it. You know what I mean?
the next thing he does too that I understand exactly why he's doing it, is like when he has to swallow like the actual like capsule, just so
Oh yeah.
so
Get
there's
rid of
no
it.
evidence of it
Yeah.
left. But good on him for doing something while laying there and having some sort
Yeah.
of plan and being able to grab those pills. Because like, what would he have been able to do if he couldn't get those pills? There's really nothing else other than like hoping that one day that he can, I don't know, outstrength her
Yeah,
in
right.
some way.
Which he definitely can't.
No, not right
'Cause
now.
She like lifts him up, like she heaves him up, like no problem. But like that's another one of the things where I think the script for this is so well written, because like that's another part that's like changed from the book, but it changed in a way that really helps the story of the movie,
Yeah.
as opposed to the story of the book. Because in like I said, he's always struggling to get pills in the book because he's addicted, like he needs them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. The pills don't actually lead him anywhere. Like he talks about how he wants to get off of them and stuff. But in the movie, they have like a specific purpose, and like there's this like it's like a B story kind of him trying to like come up with this idea to poison her or whatever.
Yeah.
Or at least knock her out, I guess. OD her or whatever. But yeah, I think that's just a testament to the writing, because I think it's a really good way to take that the same elements and sort of put them together in a way that makes sense for the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I agree on that 100%. I don't think that they could have written this any better without adding a bunch of stuff that didn't need to be there.
Right.
Which, I mean, they definitely did add things that weren't in the
Yeah,
book.
for
I mean,
sure.
you kind of have to if you're going
Yeah,
to the screen, and that's like
definitely.
pretty much anything that's from a book. There's obviously things definitely taking away that won't add to a story or anything, but you have to add something to make things a little bit more palatable, I have to
Yeah.
say, because when you're reading a book, it's your imagination. It's like,
Right.
it's what you see, and on the screen, it's what everybody's going to see. So you have to make it come across in a way that everybody can enjoy it.
Exactly.
So yeah, this is definitely written so well.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I mean, if they did the book as it is, it's literally the bedroom. Like that's it.
yeah,
The only time you go anywhere else is if he's outside exploring in one of those scenes, or it's like his memory or something. And like
yeah, or
it
like
just
this segments of them like you reading the book of what he's writing, so you're
oh, that's
reading
right.
that,
Yeah.
which is another thing.
To be
Which
honest, I skip those usually.
oh, I think honestly it kind of would have been cool if they added
Yeah, in the movie
um
that could have been interesting.
something
Yeah.
like that, just like one segment of it, just to see like that world. But I mean,
Yeah, you
it's
don't
definitely not
really
needed.
see any of Misery, like the story. You don't really get an idea of that at all.
No, you just kind of know that oh, she died. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, because like it's a huge part of like, I mean, there's like you said, like there's whole chapters of it in the book. Um, oh, one thing that I didn't mention that I think is really interesting, only if you're nerdy, but
Oh, I'm nerdy.
it. So get ready. Yeah, in the book, the N key on the typewriter doesn't work,
Yeah,
and so he has to write in the ends, and
yeah,
they don't ever talk about it, but in the shots where he's typing and stuff, you can see that the N key doesn't work.
yes,
I love that. I think
yeah,
that's so
me
funny.
too. And God, that must have been really annoying for the person who was typing that.
Yeah.
Just actually skip over the ends.
Yeah. I wonder if they just broke it. That seems like it would be a horrible thing to do to a typewriter.
Yeah, I feel like
There
the
aren't
whole
that
thing
many
would be
left.
jacked up if he did that.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know. She
Yeah,
found it
it's
at some
interesting.
pawn shop or something. Oh yeah,
Right,
the
yeah.
end just doesn't work.
Yeah,
But it
no
also
biggie.
happened to like write them all in after was also a huge pain.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the next scene is when he actually decides to go and sit down and start writing, and I was laughing so hard at this. Is when he's just writing "fuck" over and over and
Fuck,
over
fuck,
and
fuck. Yeah.
over again. Oh,
That's
it's
so great.
so
His
good.
face.
Yeah,
Like
he's like,
if I could just gif one moment of that movie, it would be that face he makes when he's typing. Because it is, I mean, it's the best thing I've ever seen. Like the most acting I've ever seen.
yeah, it's
Um,
so funny, and I had to rewind it because I was like, wait, what's going on here? He should have just handed it to like, here's your book.
right, exactly. Oh my god. And
Oh,
James Caan is such a famous, like, well-respected actor, and then that shot, I mean, oh, it's great.
and then Annie gets more upset that he keeps writing shit that she doesn't agree with.
Yeah,
And then finally he comes up with something. She's like, yes, this is
yeah.
great.
I actually love the what she calls the cheat, and that's when she explains the
Yeah.
Rocket Man, whatever it was, the chapter plays that she loves. But I love like in a little bit in the movie and a lot in the book. It's like she has read so much of his work and read so much generally that she can read it and know that he cheated out of like he cheated the plot
Yep.
even before he sees it because she says it and then he reads it and he's like fuck, she's right.
Yep.
I cheated, like. And she explains to him like in that, like we said, the great like yelling at him about he didn't get out of the cockadoodie car or whatever. Like that is so, she's so good at it, but she's right, like he is writing crap and
Yeah.
she immediately picks up on it. And it's crap that would have sold millions of copies, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
for
she
sure.
wants like good shit.
This
And
wouldn't have been sold to her, and that's the
right,
problem.
and so he is like, damn it, she's right. I did cheat. And so then he's forced to like make a good book.
Yeah, out of a
It's always
shit
interesting.
situation.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
mean, props to him for doing something under pressure and always having
Yeah,
to be like, is this good enough?
right,
And
for
having
sure.
to keep rethinking things. That must be so exhausting, more than you just laying there in pain, is having to literally, like the movie says, be in misery
Yeah,
of having to keep rewriting this over to please this one person
yeah,
that
yeah.
literally means nothing. You know?
Oh yeah.
And it was also really funny when Booster goes to grabs all the books, and
Oh
Virginia's
my
like,
god. Oh man.
why are you reading this? Like, well, if I can't find him, I gotta at least know what he's writing about.
Oh, it's so funny. His montage of just reading everywhere is so
Yeah.
funny. He's like
Yep.
reading in bed.
And that's
Oh
like
my god.
when we when this is yeah, that's the part where they should have like said like how many days was going by was during that
Yeah.
montage.
Because
So,
he read like 8 books or something. Yeah, he read all of them, I think.
yeah, and like also like when you see all the chapters that Paul is writing. It's like chapter
Yeah.
35. It's like, I don't know if I've ever read a book that had that many chapters.
It's a
I've
lot.
read it, but I don't think there's 35 chapters in it.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
could be wrong.
I don't remember how it's split up, but I know that yeah, like that's a significant amount of writing.
Yeah.
Like that some time has passed at that point.
If say it was like a week, that's a lot of writing in a week. That's like
Yeah, unless your
whole
chapters are
day.
like unless your chapters are super short, I wouldn't
Yeah.
say that would be possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if it's your whole life, which it is for him, but
Yeah, exactly. And writing, and he wrote like 8 books or something. 9,
yeah. He knows how to do it.
And then we have the dinner with Annie.
Oh yeah.
Another very suspenseful, but also kind of happy moment because he's like, yeah, I did it. No, and he's like, oh, my plan's gonna work, and you know, she's gonna be knocked out, and I can leave, and like, you know, so you
Which
got a lot.
he hadn't figured that part out. Like, no matter what you do to her, how are you gonna leave?
Exactly. It's like you
Like,
can't
what?
drive. You're just gonna like,
You're just gonna die in the snow.
yeah, you're gonna be in the wheelchair, and you're gonna be.
Oh my god.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Desperation. I get it. But like, I mean, part 2 of that plan is awful.
Yeah. She's
Anyway.
From what it looks like, she's pretty far from the main town.
Yeah.
It's got to be
miles.
like at least 6 to 10 miles,
I would think
especially
so,
going
yeah.
around the mountain.
Yeah.
And and it's a farm too, so she's definitely secluded.
Yeah.
If you're running
Because
a farm.
when they're going over in the helicopter, he's like, "There's that farm, and they're all pretty far apart." It seems
Yeah.
like.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he was just hoping it was a phone.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But I don't know. So she gets up and he's like, "Oh, we need the hell." She had to
Oh,
leave
a
the
candle.
table for something.
Yeah.
The
He
candle is
said
what it
we
is.
should have a candle. Yeah.
Oh, it's like it's another glass, but that's not right. That happens later on. Yeah, the candle. So she's like, "Oh," and he's like, "Oh, well, if you can't get the candle, it's fine." So she comes back. They're toasting to it, and he's like, "I'm toasting to you, Annie. You know, thank you for all this and whatnot." Because he's like, "Yes, I'm gonna get what I want." And then she drops the wine everywhere.
Yeah.
And his face is just so defeated. He's just like,
Oh man, all his work. Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah.
And she's all still like, oh, it's fine. No, we can just pour another one. He's like, yeah.
Like I think she did that on purpose.
Yeah, she had to.
Like, in my head canon, you know? Like, yeah, I think she knew what he was doing the whole time.
Because, like, at the end, when we get to it, like, she already knew that he was, like, in the house, like, the first time.
She knows everything the whole time. She is so observant, and like you said about the mattress, like how would she not know that?
Exactly.
Like I think she's just letting him play around.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we get, I think, some more montage, and then it ends with a thunderstorm, and then Annie comes in, and she looks sick, but she explains that she's just like depressed, and Paul's like talking to her, and she goes to him, she's like, well, I was in love with the books, and now I'm in love with the person who's writing the book. And she's like, I have this gun here. I guess it's kind of a way of her kind of showing him also, like, if you do anything, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
Knowing that, like, I have power here, and I can kill you with anything, but I have a gun, and it will definitely be final blow. And she says, I better go now. I might put bullets in it. And it's just like, that is so eerie. And
Yeah,
he's just sitting there like.
And she looks terrifying in that scene.
Yeah.
Like she looks real different. It's also funny, like the gun that she has. Like, I think this is in the IMDb trivia as well. But there's a scene in the book where she runs over a cop with a lawnmower, and apparently they shot it, or at least they planned to shoot. I'm 100% sure how far they got with it, but they thought that it might be too funny for her to like run over a guy with a lawnmower. Like people might laugh at it instead of be afraid of it, and so they cut it. But that's where she got the gun, was from the cop that came looking for Paul.
Yeah,
which I thought was interesting.
I want to see that scene.
I know. I was like, I feel like if they shot it, it would be in like a deleted scenes on a Blu-ray or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I wish that was in there, because that is in the book. It's really scary, but also it just would have been awesome. I mean, it's just a great scene. So anyway,
her going over the line. I don't remember that in the book, but then again, like I said, it's been a long time since I read
Yeah, it's like this. It's like the first time there's anybody else that comes to the house, and she just like she just comes by and hits him with the lawnmower, and Paul's watching it through the window.
it. I wonder how
I love
gory
it.
that would have been, like how in detail they would
I
have
mean, it
went.
would have had to be pretty gory, I guess.
I mean,
But I guess if
this definitely shot coming up that's pretty freaking.
yeah, exactly. I wonder if that would have been one thing too much.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah,
I
I
guess
always
they,
thought that was interesting.
I guess with the pacing of how this is, they really wanted to keep like all like the really crazy stuff for the last like 20 minutes.
Yeah, you want it to go up, and not like dip or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's not a bit of like fat in this movie. Like it is super lean. So I get it. I know what they were doing, but yeah, I always thought that was interesting that they didn't put that in there.
And then we get Paul in the kitchen again, and he grabs that knife that he saw, so
Yeah.
he goes back. Then we get some more Buster, he's reading. And then he has like a quote that he says that's like in one of the books that he writes down, and he says it to Virginia. I forget what it is. It's about her being in
Something
court.
about God is the one who will like try me or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
something like that.
justice is through him or something.
Yeah, and Paul goes out of the room again. This is like maybe his third or fourth time that we see him going out of the room.
Yeah.
And he finally picks up the damn memory book.
Right.
He's going through it. All looks kind of normal at first, and then he starts going, and he's finding these weird things of
Yeah.
her with like infant deaths and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And her being like locked up, and he's just like, oh shit, she's like even more crazy than I thought she was.
Right. Yeah. This isn't new. Yeah.
And so he makes his way back, and everything seems pretty normal. We don't really see Annie catching on to anything other than when he finally wakes up and Annie's standing over him and drugs him.
Yeah.
That's also terrifying because it's dark and his lights are shining on her really well, and her eyes are really good in darkness with light because they glisten so well, and her eyes are big.
Yeah.
So yeah, he gets drugged and he wakes up the next morning, and this is the infamous scene that everybody talks about and always has to look away, and I understand why. He goes and says, "You've been out of your room. Like, I know you've been out of your room since like the beginning." And he's just like, no, I haven't. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'm gonna do what they did in the old days of like when people would do things they weren't supposed to, but we still have to make them work. Like we're gonna break your legs. And he's like, no, whatever you're gonna do, don't. So she grabs this big block of wood, puts it between his legs, and he's like, no. Like you feel for him so hard right now.
Yeah.
You want him to be able to move.
It takes a while too. Like they really build it up.
Yeah, and she's telling the story so slow and doing it all nicely too. She's not flinching at all. It's like she's done this before, is what it feels like.
Oh yeah.
And then she has a sledgehammer, and he's just like, no. And then, crack, and you just see the foot like just bend over the wood, and it's just like,
yeah.
You see
it's
it
so
all.
well shot.
God, and then she does it to the other foot, and you see it that one, and it's just like, oh my God, the pain this guy must be in.
And he sells it too. Like he does a great job.
And then she says at the end, God, I love you.
Yeah.
What a crazy woman.
Oh, yeah. It's like seeing him in pain makes her love him more. It's so fucking weird, man.
She's like, I'm in control of you. I can do this to you to keep you here longer. So of course I'm gonna love you.
Oh my God.
I know. It's like, I'm not gonna love you back. Like, hell, I just broke my feet.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, the hobbling. That's what they call it.
Yeah. And then she has to go into town for something, and then Buster is outside, and she says there's like a guy who's like pulling out in front of her, and then she goes, and then she yells at him, "You poop!"
Yeah,
I was dying so hard.
Oh my God, she's
like
so
actually swear. She's too like nice, but she's not nice.
Well, she has moments in the movie of being really pleasant. Like you almost like her in some very brief sections, but she's like actually. I mean, I guess that's more Kathy Bates than the writing, but like she's just likable. Like you kind of like her, and then she does things like the hobbling, and then I don't. The you poop stuff. It's
so
like
funny.
It's like perfectly placed. Like it's not often that she does that, but it's it's like that we were talking about. It's like it brings some levity to it, I guess.
Yeah,
But
you have to break the tension,
oh, it's
keep things a
great.
little
Yeah.
lighthearted. You poop. Oh my, I just had to rewind it. I was like, did she really just say that?
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
she did. She totally just said that. And the guy's like beeping at her and everything, and she's like, whatever. Um, Buster now goes to, I guess, the library. 'Cause
Yeah.
he sees Annie and kind of like, and he pulls up, I think, some more newspaper clippings or whatever that he has at the office, I think, and they putting
Something like
two and
that.
two
Yeah.
together finally. And then he goes and sees like the court document or like whatever they had there of the
Hmm.
picture, and it has the quote that he wrote
Yeah.
down that she said. So he's like, okay, and then goes back to the store and asks about Annie, and says like, oh, she's been buying like typing paper, and he's like, I gotta go to the house now
Yeah.
by himself, which I guess
Yeah.
isn't really a smart thing to do. Maybe you should have took Virginia, even though you're always yelling at her, being like, "Oh yeah, there's a spark that we have in our relationship."
Oh yeah. There's that sarcasm that I love you for or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
So Annie sees, well, first it's Paul that sees, Buster coming. He sees the
Yeah.
car. He's like, yes, yes, yes. And he just rushes in with a needle again, and he's trying to like fight and whatnot. He's like, he can't do it because she's too
Yeah.
strong. It was another thing I didn't mention during the montage is like him always lifting up the typewriter to build some sort
Yeah,
of
to
like
build his strength.
strength.
Yep.
And he does that at one point while she's like walking in. He's like, oh, gotta put it down. But
Yeah.
so he's doing that to kind of hopefully build some sort of arm strength, laying in bed for, I want to say, months at this point.
Yep.
So she drugs him, and when she was wheeling him over to the cellar, I thought she was just gonna dump him.
Dump him in. Oh yeah.
But
And
no,
she says something like that. I get really confused whether or not it happened in the book or the movie. But she says like you can go down one of two ways. Like you can go down, like I can carry you or I can drop
yeah, I think
you.
it was in the book where she does that. I think
Yeah.
that's what happens. She carries him down
Because it's all
totally
real quick in
fine.
the movie. Yeah.
Kind of drops him hard, but carries him down. It's nice, like, oh, thank you for doing that, but you didn't need to drug me. And then we have a really tense moment, but it's also kind of funny with Buster walking through with Annie like explaining.
Oh my god. That shot where he's like peeking out of the room and she's peeking out of the other room.
Yeah.
And then they both go back in the room and then they both come back out of the rooms to look at each other again.
Yeah.
I love that so
I feel
much.
like they probably could have kept doing that, and she knew that he was still doing that.
Yeah.
Obviously, he like rushes upstairs. He's like looking around and whatnot. I don't think he really finds anything. She brings him like hot chocolate, and he's like, no, I'm fine. Leaves. And just in time, Paul comes, and he wakes up.
Yep.
Starts like tipping over the grill that they burnt the pages with, and he's like, he rushes in and is like, oh, all right, but Annie's nowhere to be found, and Paul's like, I'm down here. Opens up the door, which is kind of like a secret door too.
It's like it like pops out sort of weird. Yeah.
So Annie's nowhere to be found. So like, dude, there's no way she doesn't hear this.
Yeah.
There's no way. And we get shotgun to the chest. It's very quick, but it's brutal.
Oh yeah, it's super graphic.
And he kind of just like falls on the stairs. And this is where I think they must have done a different shot of this, or like different day of this take, because his body disappears. He brings like the wheelchair up there, but his body's not there, like,
oh yeah,
in the
they
way.
cut her, like they probably cut out her grabbing him or whatever.
Yeah, or
him somehow,
something like that, and falls down there. And
yeah, I didn't even think about it. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, there was a weird cut there
because he landed on the stairs, if I remember.
Yeah, because he's just on the stairs, and he brings over the wheelchair and then does the whole speech about the gun. And she's like, I put 2 bullets in my gun, one for you and one for me.
Yeah.
Oh, darling, it's so beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so eerie. Just the way that she delivers these lines, and how, serious she is about it. But Paul's like, no, we got to finish the book first, remember?
Yeah,
we
just like hanging on to that. Yeah.
Like,
which is smart. Yeah.
Right. So, like, even though he's like bedridden and whatnot, like he's thinking of these things, and he was just drugged, but he's thinking like, oh, book, gotta get the book. finally finishes the book. He's all excited. Like, you know what I need? Like, oh, I know. You have 3 things. You need satchel, your cigarette, and you need wine. So she goes to get all those things, and also down in the cellar, he grabs like lighter fluid that she was using earlier and pockets it, and has her leave to go grab another glass. So he's like, drenching things, and he has the match that she gave him because he needs it for the cigarette. So that's well played into his hand.
Yeah, definitely.
But she also has the gun, which we see that she kind of like puts in her pocket. And so he comes back and he has a final page. Like, this is the final page of the book.
Don't you want to know what happens?
Yeah, so it's like you need to like pretty much let me go. You can get this finished. Like, no. He lights it and lights everything else on fire, and then she gets like so upset.
She straight up dives on it, like
yeah, and he grabs a typewriter and just like slams it into her.
Yeah.
So this is a really brutal like fight scene. A lot of shit
crazy
happens.
Fight. Yeah.
And I think she yells at him at one point, and I think she actually does sort of swear. She says, "I'm gonna kill you, you lying cocksucker."
Oh yeah, she does. Yeah,
so
like right in his face. Yeah.
Finally, like
he
puts
breaks
all
her,
the
finally.
the anger out into her words. Finally.
Yeah.
And then she gets like a shot off on him and shoulder. But it's also really funny too because he like pretty much beats her down and then grabs like all the burnt pages and says,
"Oh, it's her."
Yeah, eat it till you choke, you sick, twisted fuck. I was laughing so hard.
Oh my god, that is so funny. He's just shoving it down her throat. Yeah. Oh my god.
All the burnt pages.
Oh man, yeah.
Oh, brutal too. Like when she falls into the typewriter and she gets knocked out for a second.
And there's the ding of the typewriter when she hits it. It like dings, and which I think is so funny.
Also, for a very quick moment, you can tell they're using a dummy because the head that they do for that scene, because they show it smack into it, and it's pretty funny. It's not a good dummy. It's
a great shot, but weird.
Yeah.
I love that scene though.
They make their way into the living room, and I think I think she explained earlier on that she realized that the penguin was faced differently. But he goes for
he was going around.
This must have been the metaphor for the pig, because he grabs the pig statue and kills her with it.
Oh, that's true. He does. That's right.
That's where the pig, I guess, comes into play.
Yeah. That all makes sense now.
It all comes full circle.
I forgot about the pig statue. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So she's dead, and now we cut to 18 months later. We don't see how he
real fast, quick
got out. Like, I would have loved to see something. It must have been like Virginia's like, oh, I don't know where my husband is.
Right, yeah. No. That would have been a problem. Yeah, for sure. One of the weirdest things, like in the that sort of same scene in the book, and I think it would have done really well in the movie too, is after he like kills her, he's not sure she's dead, so he locks her in the room he was locked in.
Yeah.
And the police come, and they find him and all this stuff, and he's like, be careful, don't go in, like, if you go in that room, she's in there, she's crazy, whatever. And they open it up and they say there's nobody in there, and it's fucking terrifying. Like, that is like one of the scariest parts of that book, is that she's still alive somewhere.
Yeah.
And then they find her like in the barn. She went out and got her chainsaw.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
She died before she got back, which I thought was so scary. Like, she was gonna come like hack him to pieces. Anyway, I always thought that would have been an easy thing to put into the movie, but whatever. I didn't write it.
Like that would have been really crazy if her going like scary. All out with a chainsaw.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh man, she was scary with a sledgehammer, but with a chainsaw,
exactly.
I think.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. Anyway, yeah, but they do kind of like just kind of glaze over his rescue a little bit, but whatever.
Yeah, and he's just walking fine.
Yeah, he's like, no problem.
He has a cane, but like,
yeah, it's sort of for show.
I feel like if you got your legs broken like that, I don't feel like there's a way for you to come back from that.
Yeah, not fully. Like, you'd limp probably. You know, I guess if you broke them both, maybe they're even. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess the way he was walking too was kind of weird, because he was like walking on like the sides of his feet.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the best. It seems like
he crushed his legs in the wreck, and then they got hobbled.
Yeah.
It seems like at some point your legs are gonna be like, "Fuck, I'm done." Like,
yeah, you cut them off.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
so he's having like I don't know a dinner or brunch or something with his
yeah.
editor, and he has a new book. I forget what the hell it's called,
Yeah. So
but
I can't remember.
I don't think it was a
Yeah.
misery book.
No.
I think it was
No.
something completely different. But once again, he was still writing this after the whole thing. So within the 18 months, he wrote a whole nother book.
Right. Yeah.
And she was even like, "Well, I don't know if you'd be up for this, but you should write what happened in the house."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's like, "Well, I don't know if we should write everything as a make money." I don't know. I guess he's right in that sense,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Then he gets like a vision, or like a girl's like walking up to him, and it's Annie, and
Yeah.
then it's
With the
like
dessert tray.
morphs into somebody else, and he's like,
Yeah.
because she's even asking, "Oh, do you ever like still like think about her and whatnot?" And he's like, "No, no, no, no," but he does, and then
He's
she
like
comes,
staring at. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and then she comes up to the table, and it's like, "I just want to tell you, I'm your number one fan." He's like, "I bet you are."
Yeah.
Oh
It's a
man.
really good ending. Like it's a good like it's kind of like what I was talking about, like Twilight Zone, like button ending. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
just
exactly.
get him a zing and then out. You know?
It's a crazy movie. It's really good.
Yeah.
It is very straight to the point. Nothing
Yeah.
like ridiculous happens, but the things that are ridiculous.
Yeah. They're good, ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not like super over the top. Like it's enough to
Right.
make you not want to watch the TV, even though
Yeah.
you want to watch the TV. Um,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, with some of the stuff that was in the book, if they did add some of it, it would have made this movie even crazier.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they did a good. I mean, I think they were shooting for like slightly above a cable movie. You know what I mean? Like you want a movie you can show on cable with some edits.
Exactly.
You know, like it wasn't. You know, we weren't getting the sort of movies. I guess they weren't shooting for the kind of movie that would show the sort of like cutting his leg off instead of the ankle breaking kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think is funny because they obviously changed the hobbling scene from the book um, to make it less graphic, but I think in a lot of ways it's much more graphic.
Just
Like I think
the
I think the
effect of
hobbling is
seeing the
terrifying.
foot like
Yeah,
just turn with the wood.
yeah. Like we're so used to blood and like gore and crap in
Hmm.
movies that I think that would have been less shocking
Yeah.
than the hobbling because the hobbling is so unique. Like you know, there aren't a whole lot of movies where you see shit like that.
No,
So like
exactly.
yeah, yeah. I think it kind of backfired.
That's definitely why that scene's so iconic, because that's the one scene
Yeah,
everybody talks about, but it's literally like the last 20 minutes of the film.
yeah. And the whole movie's kind of like it goes up to that and then kind of goes down a little bit. Like
Yeah.
that is definitely like the hallmark scene of the movie.
Yeah, for sure. I agree on
But
that
yeah,
one.
it's great though.
So I have crap, did I not? Oh, well, I'll put it in post. I gotta do some edits on this anyway. But we have a new segment that we've been trying to do. We incorporate, anybody in the podcast community or the horror
Yeah.
community. And it's a segment called
Comments from the void.
our Comments from the Void segment. And I actually just edited all
Love it.
that today. That's actually me. I just pitched my voice up so much.
So good.
So
That's
I
so
just
good.
did that. And we don't have much to put on here. We only have two.
Okay.
We have one from Podcast in the Woods, and he says, "It's an incredible watch. Kathy Bates is so scary."
It's true. That's actually if there's one takeaway from this movie, that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
Like it's great for that reason.
exactly. I'm gonna make it super cheesy and put it right up to the mic.
Let's do it.
With
Old school.
Misery, I think it's easily one of the best horror Stephen King adaptations. Kathy Bates completely sold me on being Annie Wilkes. She really is the glue of this movie. And they did add some things to flesh it out where it doesn't have the desolation of the book. And I didn't think that was necessary, but it still works. This is a great film, and I'm glad that Kathy Bates got the Academy Award.
I agree on that one.
Good take.
I'll
Very
put
good take.
the actual thing in it after.
Yeah, I got you.
So there's one thing. There's always one thing. Always.
No, yeah. Oh no, I know. Trust me. It's like, lucky for us. We do a comedy podcast, so it's like part of the thing. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
if something
exactly.
goes wrong, we just leave it in.
Yeah, you guys are hilarious. I need to
Well,
go
thank you.
back and listen to like all of your stuff because you guys are
I mean,
super
there's some
entertaining.
stinkers for sure.
Oh, we have them too, you know. Um,
Some days it just doesn't gel.
yeah,
You know?
but you know what? That's the beauty of doing this. You know,
Yeah,
everybody's human.
it's always a
And
work in progress, you know.
yeah, and then we always you know, suggest for anybody who's listening and watching to go start a podcast. I mean, it's
Yeah,
all you do is just talk. You know?
yeah, it's great. I've met so many cool people through it that it's awesome. I mean, like doing this is like the shit I love.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I love just having not even just like actors on or like directors. I love the community and the other people
yeah,
that do things, you know, and
definitely.
the crossovers and everything. You make so many friendships. And like my friend Dean, I met him through the podcast, and he lives all the way in freaking the UK, you know.
Yeah,
So it's
right.
crazy
Yeah,
the reach that you can
cool.
get.
Yeah, man.
So, back to Misery.
Yeah,
So, um, my rating, since we're gonna be going to ratings now,
yeah,
I have to rate this. It's a great movie. It's got a lot of good things about it. Not really any negatives I can really think off the top of my head, other than some weird cuts or, you
hmm
know, things being left out when it could have been something there.
sure.
Um, I'm gonna have to give this like a 9 out of 10.
Nice.
I'm gonna
I
give
think it
it pretty
deserves it.
high because it's such an enjoyable film, and it goes by so quick for it being sort of a long movie, but not
Right.
really.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And Kathy Bates, you know, is great. James Caan is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
You could just go on and on and on about this. I think what would have made this even better to give it a 10 is if Stephen King had a cameo.
Yeah. What's with that? I mean, there aren't that many characters,
Yeah,
but you
he
know.
always usually has a cameo in all of his films. He did
Yeah.
in Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I think he was in Maximum Overdrive. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah. I think he directed Maximum Overdrive too, didn't he? I believe.
I think he
I think
did.
that was his movie.
Yeah,
I fucking love that movie. Anyway,
and
um,
I know that he
but
was
yeah, his
also
cameos were.
in the It Chapter 2. He did a cameo
Yeah,
in that one
he
too.
was the like one of the shop owners or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was cool.
Yep, I'm gonna
Um,
give it a 9 out of 10. But Mike, what do you want to give this?
ratings. So okay, I settled on one. All right, because I have this like nostalgia wise 10 out of 10, no problem. But I'm trying to be like legitimate about it.
Yes,
Like you
slightly
said,
critical.
it's a beautiful piece of filmmaking. Like it's one of those lightning in a bottle type things where everything just clicked.
Oh yeah,
There's a few things that like because of my love for the book that annoy me a little bit. Just like some of the depth isn't there. Just small things like that. But the just overall like style of the movie is so freaking good. I would say 8, sliding toward an 8.5 for me.
okay, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, and probably an 8.5. But yeah, I mean I adore this movie so much. And it's a great like companion to the book. I think that books and movies are often really good. I will say there are exceptions, but they're often really good like in a pair. You know what I mean? You appreciate
Exactly.
them both, and like you see how they differ or whatever, and you get the whole package. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I definitely think this is one of those. So yeah, I'll say solid 8.5.
Okay. And one
Can I do
question.
0.5s? Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
So one question.
Yeah.
Since we live in the day and age of remakes,
Yeah. Oh God. Right.
would you think this would be a movie you'd want to see remade and have
Oh,
more
man.
things from the book in it, or do you think it's great just as it is? Because I
Oh man.
personally think it's great as it is. Doesn't need to be touched.
I kind of have both opinions, to be honest with you. Like I just saw the trailer for Firestarter,
Mm-hmm.
which like the first Firestarter is so good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those nostalgia. I don't think it's as good as Misery, just to be clear. But like Drew Barrymore, like it's a really fun movie. Anyway, I wouldn't want to touch that one with. I mean, like as a filmmaker, I wouldn't touch it.
Agree.
But I saw the trailer and I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. So with Misery, this is if they never touch it, which is impossible, this would be perfect. Like this is great. Like they don't need to go any further with it. But I'd watch it. I'd pay my ticket price for it.
Yeah. I mean, especially like with the situation I'm in now with doing the podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
cover horror movies. it's one thing that you kind of have to do when you don't want to is you have to watch those.
You got to get in the chair. Yeah, you got to watch it for sure.
Got to review it, you know.
Yeah.
Because we try to be, you know, as fair and genuine as we can here, and not spread too much like bullshit like a lot of people do online. You know, just like say things just to say things.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
So
I've been on the internet.
Yeah. So yeah, we would have to watch it. We'd have to review it. We would have to, you know, give it a score, and of course, what we would compare it to the book or the movie that came before it. We just did our first like versus episode a couple weeks back, doing the It miniseries versus the It movies, and that was a crazy episode with what came out on top. I don't want to spoil it in case if nobody has listened to it yet, but it's really surprising of like what things happen when you actually put things up against each other. So I mean, part of me would be kind of curious to of this.
But who the hell is going to go up against Kathy Bates as Annie Wilkes? You know what I mean? Like
that is a very good question.
I mean, like that is such a I'm trying to think of something to compare it to, and there just isn't anything. Like that is such a landmark role and perfect casting that I can't imagine. But I'd be here for it. She just has
that look too.
Yeah, like she's perfect. I know they did like an Annie Wilkes in that Castle Rock show.
Yeah, I watched that show, but I haven't watched it so long.
I haven't seen. I guess it's like the second season where they did that, and I haven't seen that. So I know it's happened before, but like, I mean, like I said, as somebody who would make the film or even write the film, I wouldn't touch it. I'd be way too scared.
Yeah, it is. It's a titan to go up against, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I have a feeling it's gonna happen because there's been a lot of Stephen King
yet, to be honest with you.
And
yeah, ever since it blew up, they've been coming.
I would say if there was a filmmaker, I would say filmmaker that could do it, who has done a lot of Stephen King work, would be Mick Garris. I think that he could nail this. Because you know he did like Sleepwalkers, he did The Stand.
Oh
he did the Shining miniseries.
I love The Shining. Speaking of Stephen King cameos, that one has a great one where he's like the conductor of the jazz band. Oh my god,
dude! When we did The Shining a couple weeks back, I was trying to find the miniseries. Can't find it anywhere to watch. I don't own it on DVD, so I'm upset with myself.
That was the only way I could
watch
get it. Yeah.
I haven't seen it in so long.
Good. It is so good. I mean, it sucks, but it's so good.
It's I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like even when we were reviewing The Shining too, I was very upset with myself with me not coming out as liking it as much as I did. There's so many weird spots in it. Like we're talking about the music, just kind of like comes out in and out of like nowhere, and it's super loud. Yeah, but that's you know,
it's all about Kubrick being thing. Like. Yeah, it's like feeling uneasy. It's like you're not being prepared for stuff. Yeah. Like it gives you that vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And I have my feelings about that movie. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. We all do.
Yeah.
Like there's days where I flip a lot, where I feel like I don't like it, but then I rewatch it. And certain scenes, I'm like, oh, I really like this. But I really think it's got to be
obviously.
Yeah, it's got to be just because of Jack Nicholson and obviously the boy who plays Danny. You know.
Yeah.
He just owns it.
Yeah, and the story is a little bit non-existent.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
but tonally,
watch the book series.
Yeah, the whole like alcohol metaphor and all that stuff is totally lost. The ending doesn't really make sense, but it's so fun to watch. So it's like, and I can see why Stephen King has like talked about not liking it because it did sort of bastardize his
Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, right, exactly. That his very concise review. But no, I think it's not a bad movie. It's just not a very good adaptation.
Exactly. You could just label it as something else. No,
it's inspired by The Shining by Stephen King.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
I love Stanley Kubrick. I mean, I love A Clockwork Orange for how fucked up that movie is.
Oh yeah, that's a fucked up movie. Yeah. I
need to review that on here,
which I think might have been Kubrick's first movie. I can't remember exactly, but The Killing is really good.
Yeah,
it's one of those that people don't see as much, but I really like it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
But
anyway, yeah.
I guess back to Stephen King stuff, and if this was going to be remade, what's just not.
I feel like it could be a really good miniseries.
Miniseries, and make it a lot darker.
Yeah, and like take your time with it, like really, because he is stuck with her forever,
Yeah,
like
that would
a
be really
long
cool.
time. Yeah, I would love that.
Let's
Because
have Mike
then,
Flanagan do it then if it's
yeah, there you go. Because then you're not competing with the movie; it's like a different thing. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah, that would be my my preferred way of it happening.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like that a lot.
yeah, yeah, Netflix could do it.
Yeah, you know, one show that that is kind of Stephen King related because it's his son Joe.
Oh yeah,
Well, it goes by Joe Hill. You know, he did the
yeah.
whole Nosferatu
Oh yeah,
show. That was so good, and it got canceled, man.
yeah, man.
I was
Like,
enjoying that so much. I'm like, this is great. I started reading the book, and then I finished the book, and I was like, yes, I can't wait for the rest of. Oh,
yeah,
it's canceled.
yeah. Man, you gotta. I don't know what you gotta do these days to stay on, like, to just keep a show alive. But
Put
yeah,
in
I
a
know
lot of
Nosferatu's
money, I
great.
guess.
Like Horns is fucking great. Like Joe Hill is good. Like a lot
Yeah,
of people, they read Stephen King but don't read Joe Hill. But it's similar, but it's also he's got his own thing going.
yeah, he
Um,
definitely has his own demon. I mean, he
yeah,
definitely shares a lot of his father's like
Y-
ideals and stuff like that,
yeah. And their
and kind
storytelling is similar, but like
yeah, and throws in
the
like
fireman
cameos
is
every
great.
now and then of his father's work, you know, which is really
Yeah,
cool. But
yeah, it's super good. He's a very good writer as well. So
but if you haven't seen that, and if you have Shutter, it's on Shutter right now. You can go watch all that or AMC or anything like that.
yeah,
This movie is just nuts. And this is like
yeah,
the tail end of our Stephen King-a-thon too, because next week we're
yeah.
just talking about it. We're doing Firestarter, the original.
Oh,
So
nice,
we're
nice, nice,
doing
nice.
that one with Ross from General Witchfinders.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's gonna be super fun. I haven't watched that movie
Yeah,
in 12 years, so I'm really
I
excited to show
I
that.
love that movie so much. But to be
And
honest, it's been a while for me, and I don't know how it holds up, but I love it.
yeah, I remember liking it a lot, but I also don't really remember it being a horror film.
Not
No,
really. No, I think
it's more sci-fi than anything.
yeah, it's a little bit like a sci-fi thriller kind of thing, kind of like how Misery is kind of a dark thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, Yeah, and then after that, we're kind of going into some like really crazy stuff. Like we're doing The Conjuring, and
oh
then
yeah.
week after that, which I have been so excited to do this because we haven't talked about it since the movie came out, is Malignant.
Oh,
So that
nice.
I cannot wait to
Yeah,
cover that film. That's such a great film.
that's awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think that's pretty much all that I have left on Misery, unless you want to touch on anything else that you I don't know that's burning to come out.
No, I think I mean, I think we covered it all. I could talk a little bit more about the book a little bit more. I could talk for hours about the book, just
I
what
gotta
it
go
needs to be and all
reread
this
this
stuff.
book.
But yeah, I mean, I like I said, I think the 1-2 punch of the book and the movie is so fulfilling.
Mhm.
Like you get the best of both. But man, this movie, like, I am so terrified by it, but so excited by it at the same time.
I feel
It's
that.
it lives in such a weird place in my head.
Yeah.
And
Great
it's not
film.
like always openly scary as like a lot of films, but it's at the same time it scared me a lot more than most. So
I kind of think of this like kind of like the complete opposite of Pet Cemetery because they both kind of have like the same
yeah,
like look to it. But
yeah,
Pet
yeah, yeah.
Cemetery is very like visually
In your face, scary.
scary, and
Yeah,
this one's more
fucking Zelda, man.
emotionally scary.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like I said, like the fucking wheelchair trying to get back into his room shit.
Yeah.
Like it's not about what you're seeing, it's about what you're feeling. You know what I mean?
And just imagine Zelda chasing you down the hallway
Yeah,
with him
God,
trying.
oh, don't say that, dude. I think you guys talked about that on your episode, and man, I got like PTSD. Like
Zelda still scares the
oh my
shit out of me
God.
till this day.
I'm glad that's like a normal thing. Like I'm glad that's not just me because I have thought about like I stop reading that book halfway through almost every time because the Zelda shit just fucking scares the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's a real horror book.
Yeah, and I have to say, I gotta give the remake props in a way that I didn't really say on the episode, is because they have Zelda, but they don't really show her.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
more in the shadows.
Yeah, which is scary.
It is very scary, but just the way Zelda looks in the OG
Yeah, you
at
can't beat that.
Cemetery, and the talking and like the running up and being
Oh
like,
God,
"You'll never
stop
get
it.
out of bed again."
Oh
Oh my
God.
God. Like it's going through my head right now and it's
Yeah, it's
scaring
so
the hell out
scary,
of me.
man.
And also knowing it was like a guy that was playing that too,
Yeah,
that's also
yeah.
very scary.
Just the whole idea of them keeping one of their children locked up in the back room, like always just freaked me the fuck out. Like
And having their younger daughter take care of them.
Oh, I know. God, I used to go to my grandmother's house and I would see her back room and I'd be like, can't go in there.
Nope.
Zelda's in there. Anyway.
Hear her like coughing or
God.
calling your name.
Yeah, yeah.
Ike.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I can never get out of bed again.
No, we get it. Yeah, we got it. I'm not gonna sleep.
Great. Yeah.
Oh man.
We don't want you to sleep. We want you to go watch Pet Cemetery now.
You're right. I might. Yeah, it does show you the difference in like the types of horror. Because like, I mean, Misery's nothing like that. It's not that visceral, but man, it'll scare you just as bad.
Great film. Go watch it if you haven't watched it. Go read it if you haven't read it.
Exactly.
And Mike, if you want to let everybody know once again where they can find you, what you're up to.
Yeah, we're just doing the weekly podcast, Man Bites Dog. Always doing fun games about things we like. Hopefully you like too. You can find me at Anxious Mike on Twitter and Instagram, and at Man Bites Dog Pod on Twitter and Instagram. If you follow Man Bites Dog Pod on Twitter, it's mostly my brother Case talking about Elden Ring. But
dude, Elden Ring is just,
yeah. I mean, he seems to share that. I'm scared of it. Whatever.
You don't want to get owned by bosses every 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't have the self-esteem or the time.
I feel that.
But anyway, if you like Elden Ring, go check out our Twitter, Midnight Dog Pod.
Well, support them anyway because you guys are so freaking funny.
Thanks,
you really are. And anytime you or anybody else wants to come on from your show,
hell yeah, I'll be here.
Give us a shout.
Absolutely.
I can, if you want to read through the list again, if there's another film that you see that you want to jump on, or anybody else. Man,
absolutely. And I'm so sorry Aaron couldn't be here. I was looking forward to it, but I mean, that kind of stuff comes first.
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah. Life sucks sometimes,
Yeah, it does.
He's messaging me right now as we're doing the show, and he's doing okay. So
all right, yeah, definitely give him our best and everything. I hate that I couldn't meet him, but we'll get there.
Oh yeah, we will, and plenty more opportunities for us to do millions of things. And if you ever want us to come on your show, man, you know where to find us.
The door is open, man. We will talk about that for sure. I'll hit you up.
All right.
Because we would love to have you.
Awesome. Well, this was the Baron's Hideout podcast. I was your host, Dustin. Now is our special guest, Mike from Man Bites Dog. Please go support them. And we'll catch you guys later.
Bye.